everyone. We have Damian here, and I have a few questions to ask him about music. So,
hello everyone. Hello to all you amazing fans. I'm just going to say hello and thank you to all you amazing fans who follow Bahar's amazing website, Fan Fun Damian, and all of you as well who are on damian-lewis.com. Thank you so much. Thank you for supporting. Thank you for sending me all your love. Thank you for the fans who show up to these gigs. It's really, I feel very touched and very lucky, so thank you.
we are very lucky too, believe me. Okay, so tell me about the songwriting process. The music, the lyrics, the story, what comes first, what follows. Once you have a song, who puts the finishing touches? Do you know what instruments will be used from the beginning, etc., etc.? And tell it as you tell it to a musically illiterate person, because I am that.
So my songwriting process starts with ideas, and I write ideas down just through the day. If I have an idea for a song, a theme, it can be something I've heard, it can be a line, it can be an idea, and I write it down. Separately, I'm at home playing on my guitar and my piano, and I'm playing with chord structures and sort of noodling around, and I draw up two columns. So I have lots of ideas, and then I have, and this is pre-lyrics, this is before lyrics, and then I have music and basic chord structures. And I put the chords sometimes intuitively with an idea, or sometimes I try to play against it. So it might be a sweet lyric, but it might go with a slightly darker chord sequence, and vice versa. And then I start working on lyrics. But the theme is the most important thing. That's what comes first. So the idea, something to sing about, is the most important thing. That's the kernel. And then I start writing lyrics from that point. I make a demo, and then I take it to the band. And I say to the band, I give them notes. I say this is in the style of, or I want you to think about this. I send music as reference points to the band. And then we all meet for a rehearsal, and I allow the band to write their own parts effectively, and then we stop, we listen, we break it down. I then might go in and bring them in and record in a studio, and at that point is when you start taking stuff away, because you realize actually what sounded great in rehearsals in the room, there might be much too much of everything. Or there might be three instruments playing in a very similar frequency, and they're all sort of crowding each other out. So once I've recorded, I can then get into the mix, and you can start taking things out. In terms of what instruments I use, I have this band, so I use these instruments. But for example, Giacomo Smith, who produced the first record, Mission Creep, I asked him recently to arrange a horn section. So I got Giacomo on the phone, I hummed a horn melody to him, and then I hummed a string melody to him at parts of the song that I wanted these elements in the song. And I said, but I need 3 horns, or I need 2 horns. So I might need a cello and a violin with the strings, and with the horns, I might need a trumpet and trumpet, or I might need a flugelhorn and a sax, okay, for example. And I asked G to arrange them for me, which he did, which he's done for the second record. And then once the whole thing is mixed, I then add those things at the last minute. And that's how we do it. So it's, if you like, I'm chef, and I have executive decision.
That's a great
making
analogy.
At the end. But I got a lot of cooks who are all throwing brilliant stuff in, and that's these guys, and that's how we make our music.
And they are really brilliant.
They're brilliant.
They are, yeah.
Unbelievably lucky to have such a great band. Unbelievably lucky. Almost all of whom, in fact, I think almost all of whom I was introduced to by Giacomo. So
Thank you, Giacomo.
I have a lot to thank Giacomo.
Okay, thank you so much. So I've been to, I think with this one, 11 gigs.
Yeah.
And over time, the set list has changed. Of course,
Yes.
I mean, you added new songs, you removed some songs, but also you moved around songs.
Yeah.
So how do you put set lists together? What is the idea behind the order of the songs?
This second half of the tour is very interesting. We played 13 dates before Christmas, and we're playing 8 now. So it's all part of the Mission Creep tour. The second record is slightly different in sound. I don't know if you agree, Baha.
Yes.
The first record was very intimate, quite tender, quite sort of, I suppose, gentle. It's got a bit of blues and rock and roll in there, but it's essentially a sort of jazzy singer-songwriter-y type album. And the second record feels more sort of rumbustious. It feels, it's got a different kind of energy. It's a bit more, it's a bit more rock and roll. It's a bit more sort of blues rock driven in places, but it's also got sort of almost like an indie, at times a little post-punky, sort of maybe slightly new wave feel.
Exactly, new wave, Laubon.
Which I'm really enjoying. So we're just sort of pushing it in that direction. So in terms of how I chose a set list for this, we started with essentially a Mission Creep set list from the first record with the new songs added in. And we've changed the psychology of the evening. And the psychology of the evening now sits quite heavily in favor, or at least equally, towards the second record. And because the second record is a bit more up-tempo,
it is.
I've got a lot of the songs from the second album are earlier in the set. And so you get a sense of an evening which is going to be a bit more blues rock driven, a bit more indie rock driven, and then you can sit quietly to hear the ballads and hear the more tender singer-songwriter songs. But it's that way round rather than playing Mission Creep and then introducing new songs.
Thank you. You look so happy on stage as you play and sing your songs. What's the best thing about the live gigs?
Well, you know, everyone knows I'm an actor, and I trained in the theatre, so I feel comfortable being on stage. I've done a lot of theatre. It's a very lovely way of being back on stage in front of a live audience without, but in a slightly different style, in a whole different genre. It's music. And the more we play, the better we get. It's just like a play. You can come to the first preview of a play. The scenery might fall down. All kind of fun things might happen. Actors might forget lines. You've got that excitement of, live theatre. But if you come 2 months later, you're going to see something slick, polished, probably better. It's lived in. It's really lived in. And that's the same experience with these guys. We played our first gig at the O'Meara.
I was there.
Back in August of 2023. 2022. You're right. Before we went out on our tour last in October, you're right. So 2022.
Of course I'm right.
We played, of course you're right. Baha, what am I thinking? In 2022. And in that year and a half, those 18 months, we're a different band. It's a different experience because we've played together. And that's very similar to theatre, Plays morph and grow and change, even though you set everything in a play. And that's been true of this too, this experience. And I like being able to address an audience directly. I enjoy that. Not all actors enjoy that. They like to be in character. They like to be in a play, playing a character. I quite enjoy just standing there as me, telling a few anecdotes, telling a few jokes, interacting with the audience. And then the acting part of it is the song, where you have to immerse yourself in the song.
You do.
Whatever character it is that sits in that particular song, you have to immerse yourself in the same way that you do on stage. And I suppose the critical difference is they're my own words. They're my own words. It's my own melody. It's my own structure of the song, and then I'm supported by these incredible musicians who sort of lift you up and hold you up, and so that's a very wonderful experience.
Thank you. So, how much of the second record is done, and when should we expect it to be released?
I'm hoping the second record will be released in the autumn, and
There will be singles before, like.
there will be 3 singles. I'm not going to tell you what they are.
Of course, you know.
But we're mixing the singles. They're recorded already.
Oh, great.
And I've mixed one of them. And I'm mixing the next 2 singles in 2 weeks' time. So we will have our 3 singles in 2 weeks.
Okay, like Mission Creep, you will have singles before the album. That's so exciting.
This is a new, since the arrival of DSPs, this seems to be the way that people, it's like a trailer or a teaser for a movie. You tease the album by putting out a single every 4 weeks, maybe, let's say, for 2 or 3 months before the album, then you drop the album. Some people don't even release an album. They just release singles and they become huge stars just on the basis of one song.
Because with streaming services, Spotify and everything, yeah.
It's quite distorted. It's a distorted view of the world and whether people are good musicians or not. For me, it was very important. It felt more legitimate to get on the road with the band and play small clubs and play to 200 people and hone our craft, play together and spread the word that we're a fun evening and that we're a serious band playing serious music, good music. I hope you agree.
I completely agree.
I think that's what we're doing, and but it takes people a lot to get over the fact that Bobby Axelrod is singing an hour and a half of music, or whoever your favorite character
Brody.
is. So Brody is singing me a love song in Norwich. And it's weird for people. So I'm aware of that. And that's why it's important to play and get people used to the idea that you can buy the music. The music has value in and of itself, not just because I'm playing it.
Yeah.
Who's well known for something else.
Yeah.
So that's why we're doing what we're doing, and it's the best, most fun thing in the world. And we're going to play some festivals this summer, and that's great. So we'll play to thousands of people in a field, which will be.
Could you tell about them? Are you allowed to talk about?
We're going to play Black Deer again, which we played last year. We've been promoted to the main stage.
Congratulations.
So Sheryl Crow is headlining that night, and we'll be playing a bit before her on the main stage. That's on June the 15th. We're going to play Latitude at the end of July, which is a great festival. And then we're playing Carfest as well, which is run by Chris Evans, the radio DJ, and that's at the end of August. That's also got another great lineup, and we're going to play something called Pub in the Park as well in Chiswick, just before Jules Holland, who's going to play after us. So we've got 2 or 3 more festivals possibly as well. So it's
so summer is festival season.
Yeah, it's what we wanted to do. It's what I wanted to do, and so we're going to do it.
Good, great. So some fans have been concerned since you started your musical career that you are giving up on your day job, let's say acting, but you are not actually. You did the very critically acclaimed Spy Among Friends. You completed The Redleys, a book, a film based on the book by Matt Haig, a vampire movie. And you just completed filming Wolf Hall. You resumed your role as Henry VIII.
Yes.
So I would ask questions about music, so I'm coming to that part. So you were inspired by A Spy Among Friends to write Never Judge a Man by His Umbrella.
Yeah.
You were inspired by The Redleys to write Suck My Blood.
Yeah.
So will there be a song about Henry?
Well, let's see. Maybe. We'll see. There's a lot of material with Henry VIII, so maybe I will. Maybe. You never know. You can write about all kinds of things. I think I think the critical thing is to be writing about, in the same way that Tom Waits did 40, 50 years ago, 60 years ago, Jesus, it started in the 60s, Tom Waits, but he wrote about interesting, everyday things, sometimes bigger political things, sometimes he wrote about love, but there's a tendency now for people to write about themselves. And I sometimes find that a bit indulgent, but it's a choice. It's a choice, and a lot of people enjoy that kind of music. I write some personal stuff, but I try not to write in I suppose in an indulgent solipsistic way about my own pain or whatever it happens to be. I'm interested in writing about the event or the other person, whatever happens. So that's just a choice.
Yep. So my last question. I was very lucky to meet your dad in October when you did London Calling. And he asked me, when he found out I was a professor, he asked me to grade you as a musician. Could you guess my answer? He said, grade him on a scale of 1 to 10. What was my answer, you think?
I have no idea what your answer was.
11.
Oh, come on.
But he still wants
That's because you love me.
Of course. But you're a great musician. But he wants you to go back to stage, he told me. So what about, for example, a musical theater? You did it in Into the Woods, like when? You were very young. You were still in your 20s when you did it, right?
I did. And I was, most recently, last year, I was part of the special tribute
Sondheim,
gala.
Old Friends, yeah.
Old Friends.
You were the wolf
for
again.
Stephen Sondheim, who was generally regarded, if people don't know, Stephen Sondheim was generally regarded as the great lyricist and composer, really, had a sophistication about what he did, and people considered him to be the greatest. A lot of people did, of the last 40, 50 years. He started as a young man helping Leonard Bernstein write West Side Story, and he actually wrote, uncredited, a lot of some more of the lyrics and tunes than he is credited for, but he was a young man as an apprentice to the great Leonard Bernstein. So, and he went on to write great musicals, and I was very lucky to be asked by Cameron McIntosh to play opposite Bernadette Peters, the great Broadway star, who is, she won't mind me saying, I think 72 years old, and she was playing Little Red Riding Hood. And I played the wolf. I reprised my role as the wolf. I've played the wolf twice. Once in the West End, many years ago, and my Little Red Riding Hood was a 17-year-old Sheridan Smith, who is now a big star. And then I played it last year, and my Little Red Riding Hood was a 72-year-old Bernadette Peters. So, yeah, I talk to people all the time about doing musical theatre. Theatre is very time consuming, and it's harder to do as a parent for the time being, but I will get back on stage. No question. I just can't say when.
Thank you so much, Damian, for answering our questions.
Thank you, Bahar. Thank you to all my fans. Love you all.